congregation and our Winter Solstice celebration. This is a very special time. For those of us in the Northern Hemisphere, it marks the end of darkness and the beginning of the light. Ever since summer, the days have been growing shorter and shorter, and the nights longer and longer. But solstice marks the turning point. From now on, the light will grow, the sun will return, the days will be longer. There's a poem by Susan Cooper celebrating this special time. And so the shortest day came, and the year died, and everywhere down the centuries of the snow-white world came people singing, dancing, to drive the dark away. They lighted candles in the winter trees, they hung their homes with evergreen. They burned beseeching fires all night long to keep the year alive. And when the New Year's sunshine blazed awake, they shouted, reveling. Through all the frosty ages you can hear them echoing behind us. Listen. All the long echoes sing the same delight this shortest day. As promise wakens in the sleeping land, they carol, feast, give thanks, and dearly love their friends, and hope for peace. And so do we here now, this year and every year, welcome Yule.
All around the Northern Hemisphere this week, people will be celebrating the winter solstice. Today, we are celebrating too, telling stories and exploring customs you may never have heard of. But first, here are some announcements for our UU Westside congregation. Rio the dog needs your newspapers. There's a bin for them outside the social hall door. Don't forget our Christmas Eve service. It will be posted on YouTube at 6 o'clock p.m. Christmas Eve. It's entitled Alternativity. There will be numerous Christmas stories, including creative writing from members of our congregation, along with Christmas music and candles, lots of candles. There will also be an online Zoom Christmas party on Christmas Day, Friday, December 25th, from 4 o'clock to 5:30. Drop in and say hi. You can wear your favorite ugly Christmas sweater or bring a favorite ornament, or you can share a Christmas joke. Come and share in the fun.
Down through the ages, people observed the winter solstice with rituals. They even built monumental structures and temples to mark the solstice. One of the best known, of course, is Stonehenge. Another is the great mound in Ireland called Newgrange. 5,000 years ago, people constructed it in such a meticulous way that sunlight at dawn on the winter solstice would slant in through a special opening and illuminate the inner chamber. Clearly, the winter solstice was a significant event in their lives. People built bonfires and they lit candles celebrating the spirits of the four directions. This morning, in their honor, we will light candles as well. In the East, we honor the spirits of air. It is winter. We feel the cold, sharp breezes blowing the cobwebs from our minds, clearing our thoughts, opening us to the new. Spirits of air, be with us today. In the South, we honor the spirits of fire. It is winter. It is a time for sitting in front of roaring fires for warmth and blazing candles for light. Spirits of fire, be with us today. In the West, we honor the spirits of water. It is winter. Water becomes hard as stone and soft as snowflakes. Spirits of water, be with us today. In the North, we honor the spirits of earth. It is winter. The earth rests, renewing itself. Spirits of earth, be with us today. Blessed be.
It is time now to light our chalice. If you have a chalice or candle at home, light it as you join me in these words. It is the darkest time of year, but in this darkness the light is reborn, the light of hope, the light of joy, the light of love. Blessed be. Each week, as a congregation, we also affirm our aspirations. Let us speak them together. Life is a gift. We gather in community to celebrate the glories and the mysteries of this great gift. In the light of truth and in the warmth of love, we gather to seek, to sustain, and to share. Love is the doctrine of this congregation. The quest for truth is our sacrament, and service is our prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve others in community, to the end that all souls grow into harmony with creation. Thus do we covenant with one another. Shalom. Every week in our service, we have an animal ministry moment to remind us of the creatures who share this earth with us.
Hi, I'm going to give you a story about a cat and a dog today. I'm spoiling you. This is about a kitty, and his name is Rudolph. One year, I was delivered to Grandma's house for an extended sleepover several days before my family would return to join us on Christmas Eve. Sitting in the bay window, unperturbed and appearing rather self-satisfied as always, was Rudolph. The sight of that cat in the window reassured me that I was arriving at the right place and wasn't accidentally being left with someone else's granny. There were hugs and kisses all around. This is called Christmas Day. This is about a dog. Tonight's my first night as a watchdog, and here it is Christmas Eve. The children are sleeping all cozy upstairs while I'm guarding the stockings and tree. What's that now? Footsteps on the rooftop. Could it be a cat or a mouse? Who is that down the chimney? A thief with a beard and a big sack for robbing the house? I'm barking, I'm growling, I'm biting his butt. He howls and jumps back into his sleigh. I scare his strange horses. They leap in the air. I frighten the whole bunch away. Now the house is all peaceful and quiet again. The stockings are safe as can be. Won't the kiddos be glad when they wake up tomorrow and see how I've guarded the tree?
Another of our traditions is to take time in our Sunday service to lift up our joys and our concerns and light a candle for each one. Today, we light a candle for Laurel. Her Uncle Bernie passed away this week. We also light a candle for Laurel's daughter, whose internship in California ended this week. She'll be looking for a job in the new year. We light a candle of concern that there are those who still refuse to accept the results of the presidential election, and that Black churches have been vandalized. We light a candle of joy this week for for the distribution of the first coronavirus vaccines across our country. There may still be dark days ahead, but we celebrate this important point of light. For all the joys and concerns held in our hearts, we light one final white candle. We also light our special red candle for the victims of racial injustice. May this season be a turning point, opening the hearts of people to greater understanding. Shalom.
During the pandemic, we've been keeping in touch by Zoom. In one of our Zoom calls, someone expressed sadness that this year we can't invite friends into our homes because of the virus, and that no one will get to see our holiday decorations. And so I put out the word for people to send me pictures of their decorations so that we can have a virtual visit. So here is a moment of sharing our holiday joy. Our time for all ages today is about a figure who's important in Swedish folklore. He's called a tomten. This is what they look like. They're described as gnome-like figures with bushy beards, but people don't usually see them because they appear at nighttime. The tomten can be mischievous, but often they're helpful. They check on the farm animals and make sure that the animals are healthy. And they check on the houses to make sure that everything inside is orderly. They talk to the animals and to children, who are the only ones who really understand their language. For all the help that they give, they only ask for respect and for one special thing, a bowl of porridge on the eve of Yule. And the porridge has to have butter on it. Yes, if you forget to put out the porridge for them, then you'd better look out. You're bound to have misfortune. There are many storybooks about tomten. In this one, by Jan Brett, the tomten doesn't have a beard and look like an old man because he's a young tomten. His mother feeds him, but he's very, very hungry every day. He's a growing tomtin, and he was getting tired of porridge for breakfast, unlike all the other tomtin. So each day he would go and visit Henny. Henny was a speckled hen who laid an egg every day. And every day the young tomtin would come into the hen house. He would say, "Henny, have you got a little yummy for my hungry, hungry tummy?" And he would take Henny's warm, smooth egg and run off with it to cook it in his little kettle. And then he would fall fast asleep in the hayloft until the evening. Henny didn't like the tomtin taking her eggs, but she put up with it until one morning when she saw Goosey sail forth, smiling and bowing, a stream of goslings following her. "Oh my," Henny clucked, "where did all those little ones come from?" "My eggs are hatching," crooned Goosey. "Here comes the last one now." From that moment on, Henny wanted a brood of peeping chicks of her own. But how could she stop the tomtin from taking her eggs? The next morning, when the tomtin poked his head in, Henny tried. She clucked loudly and pecked. She flew at him, but nothing stopped that hungry tomtin from taking her egg again. Now this is the hero of this story. This is a hedgehog named Hedgie. Henny was sad. No eggs, no chicks, no peeping babies. She was so sad that she cried, and when she cried, she woke up Hedgie, and her tears poured down on him. "Poor Henny," he said, "I've been watching the tomtin take your eggs. I'll help you trick him into stopping." The next morning, when the rooster crowed, there was the tomtin. "Henny, have you got a little yummy for my nearly empty tummy?" Henny and Hedgie were ready. The tomtin reached for an egg and pulled out an acorn. "Henny," said the tomtin, "what's this?" And off he went to try it. The acorn was tasty, but it didn't fill him up, and he woke in the middle of the afternoon grumpy. The next time the tomtin arrived looking for an egg, he found a bright red strawberry. It looked bigger than the acorn, so he ran off to cook it. The strawberry was jammy and sweet, but it only filled up the tomtin a little more than the acorn had, and he woke up early. The sun had just come up when the tomtin was at the hen house again, his stomach roaring with hunger. Pushing Henny aside, he grabbed for an egg, only to find a delicious-smelling mushroom. He raced off to cook it, and as scrumptious as it was, he woke up with his little tummy growling for more. The next morning, the tomtin rushed in even before the rooster finished crowing. "Henny, have you got something for my hollow tummy?" This time, he found a smooth, round potato, even bigger than an egg. He cooked it quickly, swallowed it down, and went back to his hayloft. He woke up at sunset only half full. The tomtin had had enough. "Henny," he shouted, "tomorrow I want an egg for breakfast and nothing else. If I don't find one, I'll eat you up instead." Henny was scared. The tomtin had been tricked by an acorn, a strawberry, a mushroom, and a potato. How could they fool him again? "Don't worry, Henny," Hedgie told her. "Now's the time for my surprise." And he whispered in her ear. All night, Henny waited on her nest and Hedgie on his. As soon as it began to get light, Hedgie gently covered his nest with straw and got ready for the surprise. Henny and Hedgie could hear that tomtin's stomach rumbling like thunder. He burst into the hen house, pushed Henny aside, and grabbed. "Ow!" he howled. "Ow! Ow!" What he grabbed wasn't an egg. It was Hedgie, all closed up in a tight round ball of needle-sharp prickles. Henny and Hedgie listened as the tomten ran home yowling. "Thank you, Hedgie," Henny said, looking at her dear friend. "I'm sure the tomten won't be back again for breakfast. But what I can't figure out is, where have you hidden my eggs?" Just then, Henny heard a little peep and then another coming from Hedgie's nest. She looked over and saw the straw begin to move. 5 baby chicks peeked out of their shells and fluffed up their down. As Henny settled down with her babies nestled around her, the tomten's mother was in the hayloft making breakfast for her hungry tomten. "Hedgie, Hedgie, Hedgie, you're full of surprises," Henny cried as she led her baby chicks out into the sunshine. But the little tomten didn't hear a word. He was sound asleep, his tummy full of tasty porridge. The end. While we're talking about Sweden and Swedish customs, we need to talk about fika. Fika is a Swedish coffee break, but it isn't just a coffee break. It's a moment to slow down and appreciate the good things in life. It's the moment when you take a break, often with a cup of coffee or a cup of tea, and have a baked good with it. You can do it alone or with friends. You can do it at home, in a park, or at work. But the essential thing is that you make time to take a break. That's what fika is all about. Now, in our culture, we might run to Starbucks and grab a grande in a paper cup and be on our way. It's more about fueling and going fast. But in Sweden, coffee is something to look forward to, a moment where everything stops and you savor the moment. It's an excuse to slow down. In Sweden, people practice their baking skills so that they can bring treats into the office or invite friends to meet them at the park. Because fika is not just a coffee break, but a bite to eat as well. It's the embrace of a slower lifestyle, appreciating life and appreciating each other. Since we're talking about Scandinavia, we should talk about the Yule goat. Do you know about the Yule goat? The Yule goat origins go back to the ancient pagan festivals and worship of the Norse god Thor, who rode in the sky in a chariot drawn by 2 goats. Down through the centuries, people would save the last sheaf of grain from the harvest. That sheaf was said to have magical properties, and they would save it for Yule. Today, a popular ornament is a Yule goat made out of straw. And one way to have fun with these straw Yule goats is to place one in a neighbor's house when they're not looking and surprise them. The Yule goat is sometimes depicted as bringing presents. And sometimes young men would disguise themselves as Yule goats and go from house to house singing songs, performing tricks, and demanding gifts. Each year at this time, towns in Sweden build Yule goats out of wood and straw. Look at the size of these. Clearly, the Yule goat is an important folk figure if people go to so much trouble to make them. Birds are important at winter solstice time. Many people from Scandinavia believe you should spread birdseed on your doorstep in the morning so that the birds will be included in the feasting that takes place in your home. It's said that if you do this, your household will enjoy good fortune during the coming year. Today, gates and doorways are decorated with treats for the birds. Then there's the tradition of mistletoe. Now, to us, it's part of a kissing ritual. If you find someone standing under the mistletoe, you can kiss them. But it has ancient roots. The Druids considered mistletoe a sacred plant with medicinal properties. It was so respected that if two foes encountered each other out in the woods while standing under mistletoe, both of them had to lay down their weapons until the following day. So it's an ancient sign of peace. What about customs in the Ukraine? There are many old Slavic traditions at winter solstice. The Ukrainians call the celebrations Kolyada. Kolyada is said to welcome back the newborn sun, and the revels go on for several days. On each day, people go caroling, but this is singing that predates Christianity. Bonfires are lit and carolers go from house to house carrying candles and lanterns to invite back the sun. Nowadays, people light sparklers as well. They go through the streets carrying musical instruments and papier-mâché suns held up high on sticks, and they ask for permission to perform for the family at the home that they're visiting. The ancient songs aren't just beautiful, they are thought to be magical. They are incantations, bringing blessings to the household. Like weaving a spell, it's still believed that everything that's sung about will come true. When the group is invited in, the revelers go through a formalized series of performances, first reciting a greeting poem, then singing some carols, dancing, and finally a skit or a puppet show that pokes fun at the members of the household while wishing them abundance and love for the coming year. Once again, in the Ukraine, like in Scandinavia, we see the goat making an appearance. As part of the performance by the carolers, a young man wearing a sheepskin coat and a mask resembling a goat's head with ears made out of wheat will perform a dance meant to bring an abundant harvest. The revelers will sing songs with lyrics like, "Where the goat goes, there wheat grows. Where the goat stamps its feet, there are 7 sheaves of wheat." There's not only merrymaking and blessings, but also food and sweets. And the Ukrainians take time to remember the ancestors. During the holidays, they make a special porridge of wheat berries, poppy seeds, dried fruit, nuts, butter, and honey. The porridge is called kutya, and it's served to the ancestors and shared with the living. In the old days, the making of kutya had a special ritual. Wood would be stacked in a special way in the home's wood-burning stove and lit with what they called a living fire, made from rubbing wood against wood. The wheat would be soaked in water that was drawn from the well before the sun had risen and was believed to have been blessed during the night by Kolyada, the infant sun god. In England, one of the traditions at winter solstice was to make a special drink called wassail, sometimes pronounced wassail. Wassail means good health. They would say wassail as they toasted each other, like saying cheers when you lift your glass. But did you know that in Britain they would wassail their trees as well? They would go out to their apple orchards and sprinkle them with cider or even pour buckets of cider on their roots. It was a blessing for the trees, an appreciation for the apples that the trees had provided, and an encouragement for a good harvest of apples the next year. turn to an image that's important for the winter solstice and also to the celebration of Christmas, the reindeer. I'd like to share some thoughts from Jamie Meyer, author of the article Untwisting the Story of Reindeer. You can find it online as well as information about his programs on shamanism. As Meyer points out, today, across the vast expanse of northern Europe, subarctic Russia, and Mongolia, stretch many nations of reindeer herding people. They have different cultures, languages, and customs, but something these people share is a deep physical and spiritual bond with the reindeer. The reindeer provides food. It provides power to pull a sleigh. Over the centuries, the hides provided clothing for the people. The antlers provided tools. Meyer says the reindeer is the life force embodied. It is a giver of life, a mother, a sustainer of life. We think of reindeer as existing only in the far north, and so only being connected to the northern peoples. But at the end of the most recent glacial period, 12,000 years ago, reindeer were plentiful farther south, in Ireland, Scotland, all the way to southern Spain, and here on this continent as far south as Tennessee. Reindeer were so numerous in Europe 16,000 years ago that this period in time has been called the Reindeer Age. Researchers say that reindeer, both the forest caribou and Arctic reindeer, are the most widely distributed animal on the earth. They followed the ice as it flowed back and forth across the earth, and the people followed the reindeer. Throughout the grasslands of northern Mongolia and southern Siberia are hundreds of stone pillars. These pillars range from 3 to 15 feet tall, and they have carvings that seem to show reindeer in flight. The stones have been dated to approximately 3,000 years ago. Now notice that the reindeer carved into the stone pillars are reindeer who are flying. Long before our stories of Santa Claus, there were tales of a goddess named Sol who flew through the air in a sleigh pulled by reindeer with antlers. She didn't bring a sack of toys. Instead, she scattered pebbles of amber to the people below, like little bits of sunlight. Here's something interesting about those pillars depicting reindeer. The people who carved them had probably never seen a reindeer. Because of climate change at the time these stones were carved, it had been 1,000 years since actual reindeer lived in that local landscape. But for some reason, the reindeer spirit had sunk into the soil of their consciousness and had reemerged in their stone art. As Jamie Meyer relates, there is a story among the Sami people that the Creator had created everything and every creature, but had yet to inject life into any of it. The Creator asked, "Who among the creatures will sacrifice their own heart to be placed at the center of the world, to beat life into everything?" Reindeer said, "I will give my heart so that all may have life." The Creator said, "I knew you would, because to bless the world is in your nature." According to the story, it is that mothering heart, pumping warm life force throughout the world, which keeps everything alive at every moment. And everything receives her blessing, not just chosen ones or the ones who believe correctly or who are obedient to the hierarchy. Everyone gets the blessing. Now, why does the Sami story say mother? Why is the image female? You have to understand something about reindeer. Among reindeer, it is the female who leads the herd. And by the way, she's the one who has the antlers in winter. The males lose their antlers in mating season in the autumn, but female reindeer keep their antlers until their calves are born in May. So at solstice, the reindeer with antlers are female. So of course that means that Dasher, Dancer, Prancer, and all the rest are all female. An interesting thing is that you don't herd reindeer like you herd cattle. You follow reindeer. It's a different relationship that you have with the animal. And reindeer could range as much as 1,000 miles to find food. But the image that is most striking from the stories of the Sami people who follow the reindeer is that at winter solstice, the great mother reindeer travels to find the sun. When she finds it, she carries it back between her antlers so that all creatures may live again. So she's not only the bringer of life and sustainer of life, but the rescuer of life when it goes missing. In Britain, there's a tradition of a goddess who has the body of a woman, but who has antlers on her head. She's called Ellen of the Ways, and she's a guardian of the land, especially the tracks that in ancient times were thought to be the tracks across the landscape used by the deer. Now think about her as the guardian of the land. The people who followed the reindeer had a particular relationship with the land. The land did not belong to them. That concept came later with farming. The farmer settled down on a particular patch of land and said, "This is my land, I own it." That concept would be alien to the people who followed the reindeer. The land didn't belong to them, they belonged to the land. This makes me think about the people native to this continent, who also thought it was a strange and foreign concept that a person might own a piece of land. I remember the words attributed to Chief Seattle. How can you buy or sell the sky, the warmth of the land? The idea is strange to us. We do not own the freshness of the air or the sparkle of the water. Every part of the earth is sacred to my people. On this winter solstice, the people of the reindeer have a special gift to give us. The gift of understanding our connectedness to the earth that we walk upon. Think of that story of the reindeer offering its very heart to pulse life into every being on the earth. It's a story about love and care for our well-being. It's a metaphor for the love that's at the very heart of existence. It's a powerful love, a love that we can draw upon in the time of darkness, a love so strong that we can send it out again to touch the lives of others around us. Like the great reindeer mother, we can help bring back the light to the world. Blessed be. It's time now to extinguish our chalice. Please join me in these words. We extinguish this chalice, but we carry the light within us, the light of hope, the light of joy, the light of love. Blessed be. We thank the spirits of the four directions for being part of our winter solstice celebration today. Spirits of the North, thank you for being with us. May we remember the gift of rest and renewal. Spirits of the West, thank you for being with us. May we remember how to be strong and how to be soft. Spirits of the South, thank you for being with us. May we remember to share the warmth of your fire. Spirits of the East, thank you for being with us. May we remember to stay open to the wind of change. Go forth now and celebrate the growing light. Eat, drink, and be merry, and share your light with the world. Blessed be.